Hi everyone, you're welcome to our Sligo GAA mini webinar series. This webinar is going to be on maturation and will be presented by Jack Haran, who is a student in Sligo IT and working with us here in Sligo GAA. So Jack, I'll hand straight over to you.
Perfect, thank you Louise. So I'm Jack. I'm just going to bring you through the first webinar today, and this is in maturation as athletes, as Louise said. So I'm going to bring you on to the first slide. So maturation athletes by myself. So what is maturation in athletes? So maturation in athletes is described as the process of children growing and obtaining adult stature through childhood and adolescence, physically, mentally, and biologically. So the role of maturation in athletic performance. Maturation plays a significant role in motor skill development, strength, power, and even has implications on the injury risk in younger athletes. So this is why it can be very important. So these are the main considerations surrounding maturation. There is exercise, injury, growth, and skill development, and they're the four things we will be kind of focusing on today. So exercise. Proper training in younger athletes can help prevent injuries in these young athletes during the maturation phase. Strength training can help strengthen muscles and bones while promoting flexibility and mobility in joints and muscles, and this can prevent the risk of injury. The training should be specific to the athlete to help athletic motor development and try to reduce the loss of coordination and skill, which can result in clumsiness due to these rapid growth spurts. So injury considerations. The likelihood of soft tissue damage is greatly increased due to changes to muscle strength and force development and coordination in the younger athletes as the body adapts and matures. Periods of inactivity, such as the previous lockdowns, greatly increase the likelihood of growth spurts in these younger athletes due to decreased physical activity levels, and this can greatly increase the risk of injuries amongst the athletes due to increased force and muscle strength and muscle. So coaches should monitor athletes' training load to prevent overtraining, which can result in injury during these growth periods. So growth can occur at different rates and speeds and is fully individualized amongst the athletes. Most people can stop growing physically at 18. However, this can also vary. So on the right hand side, we just have a picture here of 4 or 5 athletes, all of whom are the exact same age, and it just shows the different rates of growth in the athletes. And this isn't to say they all won't grow to the same size or strength or any of those things. So during the maturation phase, athletes increase in body size, composition, and strength, and these can all improve athletic development and performance. These rapid growth spurts can also negatively affect performance, and this can be as a result of decreased coordination and changes in the center of gravity, and athletes have to adapt to these things, and these can obviously result in negative performance. This is why it's important to train these things. So skill development. It's important to include skill development in the training for the younger athletes. So training should have an emphasis on training the basic skills to help obviously the athletes develop these skills. Train fundamental athletic movements, and this is important to combat the loss due to coordination in these growth spurts. Train strength and speed development, because as we said earlier, it's these maturation phases can increase the risk of injury, and this training can combat soft tissue injuries in particular. And the training should also be specifically tailored to their age and developmental stage, and this is important again to reduce the risk of injury and know the load that they're under. So I think that's all for me. Thank you guys. These are where we can be found on our social media pages, and there's my contact details below. So thank you again. Is that all right?
Yeah, spot on.
Perfect.
So,
Yeah.
I get Jack set up the next one, then I will go again.
Perfect. What's the second one, Jack?
I'm going to go for return to play load management for this one. I probably would have been better off doing it first, but Can you see that?
Yeah, I think so.
Perfect.
You ready to go straight into it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
ready.
Cool. Okay. Hi everyone, you're welcome to our Sligo GAA webinar mini-series. This webinar is on load management as we return to play and will be presented by Jack Haran, who is a student in Sligo IT and working with us here in Sligo GAA. So Jack, again, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Louise. So I'm going to bring you all through a return to play load management webinar, and this is just tips for managers and coaches helping their players safely and effectively return to play. So return to play load management. These are the kind of main considerations surrounding return to play, and this is the injury analysis, and I'm going to go through a few kind of similar situations to what we have just experienced and show the risk of injuries and how it can be increased as a result of this detraining, and the training itself and recovery. So injury analysis. The Bundesliga lockdown, which occurred in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak, the athletes experienced a 66-day lockdown period, and this was followed by a subsequent 2.5-week pre-season training period. And as a result of the lockdown period, the in-game substitutes increased from 3 to 5, and this was to try to combat the risk of injury in these athletes. So just some statistics here from the Bundesliga last year. 33% of all injuries were muscular injuries. Over 12 injuries occurred in the athletes' first games back after postponement, and this can be seen on the graph here in the bottom right, that in the one athlete that played 0 games, the risk of injury was greatly increased. And as shown on the same graph, less than 1 injury occurred per game after 9 games, which just shows when training is increased, the risk of injuries can properly decrease. And the injury rate prior to the postponement was 0.27 injuries, and then this was increased to 0.56 injuries per game following the return to play. Another similar situation was the NFL lockout in 2011. The lockout lasted from March 11th, 2011 to July 25th, 2011, and this was as a result of pay disputes. The athletes were only given a 17-day preseason period, and this is compared to the usual 14-week preseason in the NFL, which is the recommended time period. So the NFL lockdown injury analysis. Between 1997 and 2002, 35 Achilles tendon ruptures were recorded, and this is an average of 5 ruptures per year. This is shown on the graph on the left hand side. You can see 5 injuries, 2 in the preseason and 3 on average throughout the course of the actual season. And in the first 12 days of the 2011 lockout preseason, 10 ruptures were recorded, with 2 more occurring after 2 weeks of preseason. And this is shown on the graph, which just shows the stark differences when proper preseason is done. So certain injury considerations surrounding return to play. Athlete deconditioning paired with increased levels of enthusiasm can increase risk of injury, as the athletes are excited naturally and go running around and this can increase the risk of injury. Growth spurts increase in teenage athletes during periods of inactivity, which can also lead to increased soft tissue injury. Potential reduction in coordination due to lack of skill implementation can also increase injury, so these are important considerations when returning to play. So the training itself. Intensity of training should start low and increase gradually to higher intensity levels, and this is to protect the athletes and reduce the risk of injury and overtraining. Safety. Training should follow restrictions and guidelines while preventing unnecessary injury, and this is obviously just to prevent any unnecessary injury and to combat the COVID pandemic also. Recovery. Athletes should be given sufficient time to help recover, to help make proper adaptations and prevent any avoidable injuries. So intensity. Dynamic warm-ups such as the GAA 15 warm-up can allow athletes to mobilize joints, raise heart rate and activate muscles to prepare them properly for the session ahead. Training type. Due to limited time frames, training should be specific to the sport and aim to prepare the athletes' bodies for the demand of playing games. and training duration and frequency. Training should gradually increase in frequency and duration, and an example of this could be 2 45-minute light sessions during the week in week 1, and this could increase to, say, during week 3, 2 1-hour moderate intensity sessions, just to kind of gradually keep it going. Safety considerations should ensure athletes report any feelings of unwellness during or prior to the session. Training methods should follow restrictions and guidelines while preventing unnecessary injury, as I said before. And recovery. Athletes should be given sufficient time to fully recover to help make adaptation and prevent injury. So recovery itself, rest is very important. Athletes should aim for at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night to aid recovery and performance. The nutrition side of it, athletes are recommended to eat higher protein diets upon return to activity to help repair muscles to limit injury and soreness associated with this return. Hydration levels. Hydration should be monitored by urine colour where possible, and it is recommended for athletes to drink at least 2 to 3 litres of water per day. And again, thank you. That's all from me. So here's our social media pages, and there are my contact details there as well. So thank you. Is that all right?
Yep.
Perfect, Jack. Yeah, good stuff. Flying through them.
I feel like I'm like a motor mouth here.
Okay, it doesn't come across as quick as you feel it comes across.
Yeah, I haven't done anything in so long like this because we used to do it the whole time in college. It's just strange.
Yeah, it takes a little while getting used to again. And the last one's hydration, isn't it?
It's recovery, I think.
Oh, recovery.
I have hydration and stuff in that as well.
Yeah, perfect. Recovery. Perfect. Do you want to go, if you want to grab water, then we're not in a rush if you want to.
I'm alright in grab.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't want to go away from in case I just get flustered or something. I'm better off just going out.
Okay. Eamon, you happy enough for us to go?
Yeah, just give me 1 second now. Yeah, I've got there. Yeah, go on ahead, so.
Perfect. Hi everyone, you're welcome to our Sligo GAA webinar mini-series. This webinar is on recovery, and again will be presented by Jack Haran. So Jack, I'll hand straight over to you.
Perfect, thank you Louise. This webinar is going to be based around recovery in athletes, and these are just going to be some tips for managers and coaches with helping their players safely and effectively return to play. It's recovery in athletes. What is recovery? So recovery in athletes aims to restore physical and mental processes in the body that may have been damaged or altered as a result of training or games. And this period gives the athletes the opportunity to return to the pre-game or pre-training levels. So these are some of the benefits of proper recovery. So proper recovery can help maintain motivation levels in athletes, can help reduce the risk of injury, can improve performance, reduce fatigue during performance, can increase and maintain flexibility and mobility, and can allow for muscle repair following the bout of exercise. So these are just some post-match recovery tips. And before I say this, it should be noted that the main 3 that you should be focusing on is the hydration levels in the athletes, the diet, so post-match meal is also very important, and the rest and your sleep are the main factors. But following a game, a good protocol to follow would be for the players to cool down, to rehydrate and take the recovery drink. An example of this could be protein milk, or if the athlete is very low in protein levels, a shake, but the preferred choice would be the protein milk and water. Cold water immersion, so this could be used in a cold bath at home if the water wasn't available. To shower and put on some compression garments such as compression tights. A post-match meal, ideally with a 4:1 carbs to protein ratio, and rest and relax and aim for 8 to 10 hours sleep for the athletes. So the recovery methods, as I mentioned, the main 3 are your sleep, Athletes should be aiming for at least 7 to 10 hours sleep to ensure adequate recovery even when not training. The second one is their diet. Athletes are recommended to eat high protein diets upon return to activity to help repair muscles and to limit injury and soreness, and this is obviously associated with the training. And hydration. Athletes are recommended to drink a minimum of 2 to 3 litres of water per day, and this obviously can increase when training occurs. So sleep. Many studies have shown a direct correlation between hours of sleep and athletic performance, with at least 7 to 10 hours recommended each night to aid recovery and help muscle repair. Good quality sleep has also been shown to improve athletes' mental health, which helps mental recovery in athletes, which can maintain and increase enthusiasm, which is obviously important. So just a little checklist here for athletes to consider when trying to get proper sleep. So it's important to have a quiet environment, to have a suitable room temperature of around 18 degrees Celsius. Ensure that bedding and clothing does not cause an environment that is too hot. The sleep routine should be consistent each night for falling asleep and to wake up. Avoid caffeine and fluid ingestion leading up to sleep. Avoid the use of tablets and TV before sleeping, as it can make it harder for the athlete to turn off after in their brain. So napping not later than mid-afternoon to ensure that they can again get a proper night's sleep, and at least 7 hours of sleep per night, and around 7 to 10 is optimal. And ensure the room is dark with no obvious light source present. So diet. Diet can be used to refuel the body in preparation for the next training and is vital to repair and improve muscle growth and performance in the younger athlete. So these are some meal tips for recovery. The meal should be rich in a high quality carbohydrate source, and this is important to replenish muscle stores and muscle fuel stores after the bout of exercise, and examples of this for them could be a source of rice or pasta or even a source of bread. It should also contain a lean protein source to promote muscle repair, and this could be something like a chicken or a lean turkey mince or a turkey breast. And it should also include a source of fluid and electrolytes to hydrate effectively, so your waters and your energy drink or isotonic drinks can be useful here. So your hydration levels. It is recommended for them, as I said before, to drink a minimum of 2 to 3 litres of water a day. Casein and whey protein shakes, when, as I mentioned before, the athlete isn't reaching their protein goals, can be used, but is optimal for younger athletes to use protein milk, and these can be a valuable source of post-training hydration while giving the much needed protein to help recovery post-training while hydrating them as well. Losing essential salts from sweat can reduce power, strength, agility, skill, and concentration, all of which are essential for athletes, and this kind of shows the importance of good hydration levels. And on the left, we just have a little chart here that the athletes could potentially use. It's just a simple one that they can kind of see, oh, maybe I need to drink a bit more water or I'm hydrated. So it's just a nice little guide for them to see whether they're at a suitable level. So other little tips that could be helpful, but yeah, as long as they're focusing on the other three, these can also kind of aid the recovery process. So compression gear, as shown on the left in these tights, it has been shown to help improve blood flow to the muscle and aid in muscle recovery while reducing soreness in muscle following the bouts of exercise. And foam rolling can also be a useful tool to reduce inflammation post-exercise, and this can reduce soreness in muscles while potentially aiding increased flexibility and mobility, and this can hopefully reduce the risk of injury in the athletes. So that's all for me again. Thank you for listening, and here's where you can find us on social media, and there are my contact details below, so thank you.